So, Lily Orchard, a YouTuber who commentates mostly about animated media, made a video a couple months back called Mary Sue's Are Fun, Actually. Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert, the video wasn't very convincing.
Really? A Lily Orchard video didn't convince you? I'm shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Periodic Pete, everybody. How did you get here?
Muffin button?
Yeah, checks out.
See, crafting an argument for why X character isn't a Mary Sue or a girl boss takes a long time, and in that time that yokel has moved on to another target to just be wrong about.
Lily, the reason why it takes a long time to explain why a character isn't a Sue, or even why they are one, is because everyone keeps changing the definition to the point it's become useless. Case in point, your video.
And even then, that's kinda how media discussion works. Arguing whether or not a story fits a harmful trope is going to take a while whether or not we share the same definition. Welcome to media analysis, Lily. We brought blackjacks, hookers, and most importantly, disagreements.
Mary Sue discourse is older than the internet, and unlike a lot of stupid things the internet has latched onto in recent years, it took a lot longer for people to realize it was a stupid argument for cranky little bitches who can't have fun.
I don't know about that, lady. Might want to update your search history.
But now people are catching wise to the notion that Mary Sue is jargon, and so dickheads need a new word for woman bad, and they saw a few online left YouTubers making vague gargle sounds about girl boss and said,
"That'll work."
Hey, Kaiser, can you tell me who coined the Mary Sue trope originally?
Oh yeah, Paula Smith.
Don't you mean Paul Smith? 'Cause surely one of the most notoriously sexist tropes in writing couldn't have possibly been written by a woman, can it?
Well, if you think that, then Lily's not the only one who doesn't know her history. The term has existed for way longer than 20 years. Shit, the thing predates Gundam, if you could believe it.
Blasphemy against our Lord and Savior Jesus Yamato.
You haven't even seen Gundam Seed.
It's at the center of why this discourse crept into critique of actual media, because this is a fanfiction term to describe a uniquely fanfiction issue.
Uniquely fanfiction issue? The Mary Sue, as a problem, is exclusive to fanfiction?
Bullshit.
I think it's time we talk about what the actual trope of a Mary Sue is. For those of you who don't want to watch my two-parter where I broke down the trope, link in the description, a Mary Sue is a character who is favored by the plot to a degree that breaks the narrative as a direct result of that favoritism.
The most known attribute is being overpowered. In this version, Mulan was basically born with superhuman powers called Chi. This allows her to do shit like snipe people over miles and miles away just by kicking a spear in the air. These abilities of hers not only push her above her peers, but make it so that all the other characters are practically useless, making the story less inclined to have them share any compelling interactions, or God forbid, have the character herself struggle. So, what's the point of this being an action set in a war without tension?
Another attribute of a Sue is that they are loved ostensibly by everyone, especially when it's unearned. In WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff enslaves an entire town just to live out her fantasies as a way to cope with her grief over Vision's death. And the story paints her as though she's the real victim here, not the people who she's tortured. She knows what she's doing to these people. She not only excuses it, but the story does as well.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
It wouldn't change how they see me.
Yeah, you can't really know what someone has sacrificed if they didn't sacrifice anything at all. Just saying. The problem with this, in case it isn't already obvious, is that it shows the story isn't going to treat the character's mistake with the gravity they deserve. This makes it hard for us to gauge the consequences of those mistakes, and it confuses the narrative when there are other characters that obviously wouldn't approve of this character's behavior.
Oh, I don't care if it's mean. Everybody's got dead people. It's no excuse to get everybody else dead along the way.
And third, probably the most important factor of the Mary Sue is this. They bend and break the rules of the world to their favor. The previous two attributes can work in the story. You got a character who's more powerful than the rest? Give them internal struggles their powers can't fix. You have a character who's beloved by most and barely makes mistakes? Come up with problems their charisma can't solve. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot have a good protagonist whose plot is written for them instead of the other way around. At least not one that you can take seriously.
Enter Korra. God, what doesn't break in half from this chick? You have her mastering all the elements faster than Aang or even Roku, mastering the Avatar state practically off screen, something that even Aang never did in his story. Apparently, for some reason, she picked up metal bending before Aang ever considered it, even though Aang had learned seismic sense while Korra never did, which is necessary to metal bend, by the way, but I guess we're gonna forget that too. She didn't even learn energy bending because Aang just learned it to her, even though implying that it's possible for past lives to teach the current Avatar how to bend kind of breaks the whole concept of traveling the world to learn the elements when they could just talk to their past lives. The Avatar state and how it works completely changes so that she can just keep being the Avatar after season 2. Instead of being the culmination of all past lives and their knowledge focused through her body, it's just Rava and the Rug state. Hell, the story would rather retroactively make Aang a terrible father than address the myriad of mistakes that Korra has made by the end of the series. I don't think anything else needs to be said. The greatest lie in discussions about the Mary Sue trope is that it's a character trope when it's a narrative one. The story makes them so much more powerful, the story makes them beloved, the story makes them perfect. Things outside of the Sue, like the characters, setting rules, and plot events, will bend to their benefit. The problem is the favoritism shown by the story, not just the favoritism they have as characters.
Favoritism's the disease. Mary Sue, that's just a symptom. There are many people throughout YouTube and other online spaces, many of which dwarfs Shad's audience, who came to very similar conclusions. They're also the furthest thing from right-wing fearmongers.
So there's really no dictionary definition for a Mary Sue, but everybody still uses the term. But what is a Mary Sue? Is it a self-insert character? No, I mean a lot of self-insert characters can be non-Mary Sues. Is it a character who's powerful? I would also disagree, cause I've never heard someone call fucking Broly a Mary Sue. Does it have to be a woman? I also disagree, cause you have people like Kirito who are absolutely god-tier Gary Stews.
Let's just start with a name. We will call our protagonist, Mary Sue. See, we are already halfway done. Utterly lacking in self-awareness? Perfect. They say write what you know, and almost everyone knows themselves better than anyone else. So just put yourself into the story. Some might worry that they will make for a poor protagonist. Fear not. That's just because we need to get rid of the one thing that makes audiences not identify with the character. Flaws. Yes, just scrub all of your flaws away and make your protagonist an idealized version of yourself.
A Mary Sue is usually a female character but can be male, and they're an idealized version of the author. They're usually attractive, have a cool name, and they're smarter than anyone, skilled and talented in whatever happens in the story, and sometimes have powers that defy the canon rules. They're usually perfect, with no character flaws or flaws that make them cute or lovable. They usually have some ridiculous or hidden backstory, and all the good characters like and accept them without much, if any, question, while all the bad characters, or the ones we're meant to think are bad, instantly hate them. If it's an existing franchise, the current popular characters will instantly love the Mary Sue, and probably wind up having some connection to them so that their coolness gets on the Mary Sue too. And the Mary Sue very quickly replaces those popular, cool, or lead characters, usually by outdoing them at everything.
No matter the skin, the Mary Sue makes the story boring around them. A story with a Sue at its core is written as though the Sue is the center of the universe. We're supposed to accept at face value that they're the most interesting, most important character in the story, because that's the starting point of their character. Not their backstory, not their motivation, just how invested we're supposed to be. And I think fundamentally that's what makes a Sue a Sue. It's not something that exists on the level of a character trait, but on the story level. It's how the plot flows around them. The error is that the author starts from the premise that this character is by default the best character. Not the most paragon, not the most powerful, but the best. The one one everyone sees themselves in, or at the very least, the one everyone wants to pay attention to. And that's the problem. When you start from that premise, you forget to write the character in a way that draws us in. When you start with the idea that of course the character is the center of attention, we, the audience, will never actually internalize why they should be the center of attention. It's writing with a blind spot, and that blind spot isn't going to be filled, and that pulls us out of the story. And this is the problem that transcends fanfic and starts to enter the world of original writing. Anytime the writer is too busy squeeing over a character to establish why we should care about them, it ends up feeling a little too self-congratulatory. But the problem doesn't stop there. The Mary Sue distorts the world around them, changing the way characters act and reality works to put the focus on them. The Mary Sue is the center of attention at the expense of basically everything else.
Shut the fuck up, no one cares. Know your fucking place, trash.
You're stupid!
Of course, our definition is slightly different and much less lenient than many people's examples of what Mary Sues are. For example, Just a Robot believes that Superman is, one of the good ones. I say that he needs his software fixed before he turns Maverick. A good Mary Sue is no Mary Sue at all, and last I checked, good Superman stories don't unreasonably favor Clark. Regardless though, all of these YouTubers follow the same themes, which makes sense. For most people, most stories are entertaining when there's even the illusion of risk. If there's even a slim chance the characters can fail, or if their relationships can falter. A writer with vision challenges their characters. They put limits to their strengths, confronts their choices, or make them imperfect. But how can that be if the character is perfect? This is why a Mary Sue character, or someone close to it, doesn't work outside of parody, comedy, or dumb fun action. It's cancer to everything else.